Hi, this is Sean Hayden with GreenBrier Games, and we're here today to take a look at Zpocalypse 2, Defend the Burbs, checking out some of the new enhancements and features with the game. We're going to do a quick run-through of one of the turns, and Jeff Gracia's going to lead us in that, starting now.
Alright, cool. What you're seeing here is pretty much a full setup of the game. Bear in mind, tabletop simulator, we do have to take some shortcuts. What we're going to do here is both Sean and I have set up our players, loaded out with some weapons, survivors, food, and items. Many different scenarios are provided in the rulebook. One of the first ones is actually assaulting a safe zone and taking over a house and claiming it as your own. We're going to skip past that, a beginner introduction to how combat works and how your squad runs. We're going to jump right into some of the new and exciting stuff, which includes the planning board and the enhancements to the phases of the game. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do here is Sean and I are going to roll off to see who goes first. I'm going to grab a die. Oh yeah, beat a 5. Alright, let's do it again.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're going to get to go first. Normally, you would determine the first player by whoever has the least number of victory points, which you can see here on the planning board. Tracks up to 50. There are certain mile markers depending on what type of scenario you're playing. You may be rewarded with skill cards, which happens to be right below. We'll get into that a little bit later when one of us actually makes it that far. So let me give a quick brief overview of the 4 different phases that we have on here. Now mind you, both of us have 2 survivors, so we're each going to get 2 colored tokens to represent our survivors taking actions. The first one up here is scavenge for food and supplies. The second one is build, to build different fortifications. You can also craft different things, which we'll get into. Third, we have guard. It is very important to actually send someone out on patrol and or put them up in a lookout tower if you have built a lookout tower to reduce the number of zombies that are wandering in your area. And then lastly, you have rest. Whenever you need to recover health, say your survivors are taking damage or your survivors may be sick, you can go and put them in a bed. So Sean, pick things up and figure out where you would like to assign your first survivor, and then in turn order it would go over to me. And once all survivors are assigned, then we'll evaluate each phase.
Alright, so I'm going to take a quick look back at my survivors, see what we've got going on. This first survivor, he's got firearm skill and a sneak skills. I think I'll put him towards scavenging. Put my marker here and then go back to the planning board. Take one of my tokens and put it here in the first scavenging space.
Yep, you actually have chosen the leader location, which is going to be very important for determining where we actually get to go for scavenging. So looking at my survivors, I do want to send someone out scavenging. I'm going to take Mr. Survivor number 0. Yes, we haven't named any of our survivors yet, because some of them can actually be you from the Kickstarter. He's actually going to go survive scavenging, sorry. So I'm going to grab my token, I can throw them out there. One note about scavenging, it is important to send more people scavenging. With us just sending 2 people out there, more than likely we are probably going to fail some of our scavenging checks. More people are always the better, sending them out into the wasteland. Sean, what would you like to do with your second guy?
So let's see here, my second guy, I think I've got a couple pieces of scrap metal here and some booze, so I think I'm going to actually take him and do some building instead.
Yeah, I do have some wood. I think I'm gonna follow suit, build with my second survivor as well, so we'll go ahead and assign it to build. Okay. Now, considering we both only have 2 survivors, that's all the actions that we can take. Notice that the board does support up to a total of 5 players with a max of 4 survivors each. So we're now done assigning all of our survivors. We're going to move on to resolving the phases. So the first one is the scavenging phase. I'm going to walk you guys through it. It's new, it's exciting, it has much more of a choose-your-own-adventure type feel. We're really excited about this new scavenging for Zpocalypse 2. So Sean, being the leader of the scavenging phase, you will get the option to choose what direction that we can head in. Now, at the moment, we don't have the truck, so we can't go to any of the end locations. Speaking of end locations, depending on your scenario, a number of different victory conditions. One of them may be simply fixing the truck. Others may be heading far north, accomplishing some sort of a mission. In today's example, we're just going to do a very quick rundown, all the different elements of the game. So Sean, which direction would you like us to go in?
I think we'll go down here to the southwest.
What Sean really means is we're going to go to the northwest or the northeast because, to be honest, there's actually over 24 combinations in each location of story elements that can be chosen. Our lovely creative writer, Julie, hasn't managed to write all 48 additional locations for 3 and 4. So, you want to go to 1 or 2?
Yeah, let's go to number 1.
All right, we should go to number 1. Now, the way this works is you choose a direction that we're going to go, and then we're going to look at a small chart in the rulebook. There's actually 6 different possible outcome locations that we can go to. Okay, so we're going to have you roll a die here. We have gone northeast to downtown. We got number 4. So we've happened to come across a car wash. You might not ever make it rich, but it's better than digging a ditch for your friends. Well, it started off fun, but really you're looking for a working car, scrap to build with, and those smelly trees to wear as a necklace. This new world stinks. When you get to the front, you see a crowd of the undead pushing in at the garage door. In the increasingly spider-webbed window, the face of a gas station attendant looks right at you and points to the back. Then putting a finger to the lips, the car jockey motions to be quiet if you want to slide on around to the back unnoticed. Here's the problem. It looks like the door may not hold for much longer. Do you ninja your way around the back, hoping not to get seen and be fast enough to get every scrap of goodness inside before the door comes down? Or do you wade in cracking skulls and take the loot? So we actually have an option here. We have option 1, we can try for the back, which will require a stealth check. Now at this point in time in the game, we actually don't know how difficult the check is going to be. Now I'll get into what a skill check actually means in a second. Option 2 is a slugfest, which will be a melee check. Let's take a look at the 2 survivors that we sent here. You sent a guy who actually has 1 sneak, denoted by the little sneak icon you can see in the corner of his card. And on my side, I actually sent someone who also has a sneak. So this actually works out... this randomly worked out really well in our advantage. The way skill checks works are, for every icon that you have, you get to roll a die. If you are proficient, as in skilled, as in have an icon, you get to succeed on a 5 or a 6. If you do not have that skill, there's always the dumb bunny clause where you get to roll 1 die and you succeed on a 6. So in our case, I think we are definitely going to choose to try to sneak our way around the back. Alright, so as I mentioned, both of us are proficient, so we're each going to get to roll 1 die because we sent a survivor apiece. The more survivors you send would mean the more dice you get to roll, increasing your odds of passing whatever the skill check was that you chose. In our condition, we actually have a skill check of 1, which is indicated actually in the rule book. So we only need to get a single success. And when I say success, I mean either of us needs to roll a 5 or a 6. Sean, go ahead and grab your die. I'll grab my die. We'll shake them in the air here, and we'll roll away.
Alright, go back.
Alright, that didn't work too well. Let's try that again. We definitely want to succeed so we can show all the cards coming out. Alright, this is going to be a botched demo, right? Okay, so clearly we failed. All right, let's just play it as it is. We definitely failed. Now, mind you, we only sent 2 people out there, and clearly, I guess we were kind of loud. When you said quietly go through the back of the entrance, that didn't mean knock over a stack of trash cans like the world's loudest domino. Sean, that was totally you.
Yeah.
Okay, so sneak challenge 7 for a failure. We do actually get to rescue this poor guy. So I'm gonna go ahead, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a loot pile. Now this is for both of us to choose from. Now, in the case of a good demo, if we had succeeded, we would have been walking away with a lot of food and a lot of items, which are things that would all make this game just a little bit better. And when I say better, it's never easy to survive in the Zpocalypse. Okay, so now that we've failed our role, we've actually brought out all the loot that match the story outcome. There's other thing that we do need to check here. And that is, for each failed roll, we're going to increase the zombie count that many spaces forward on the victory board. In this case, it happens to be 3 because we rolled really badly. So we're going to take the Z, and we're actually going to move it up to the number 3 spot. Now, this means how many wandering zombies are going to be following us back to the base that we may or may not have to actually encounter this coming combat. If we had sent more survivors, the more dice we rolled, the better odds that we were of succeeding. Every time you succeeded a check, you wouldn't need to add to the zombie meter over there on the planning board. Now that we've distributed all the cards here, the cards that we will first look at are the armory cards. Sean, you being the first person and the leader in the scavenger location, you get to choose which card you would like first, and then I will get to choose a card. The survivors, they get lumped together and they will come back to base, and we will later on get to determine if we can recruit them or not. This allows all players, those who decide to go scavenging or not, to actually have the opportunity to recruit a survivor.
Alright, well, I think I'll go with the football pads.
Football pads are a great choice. You can never go wrong with a little extra armor in the Zpocalypse. Stop sign makeshift weapon sounds great. I will definitely take that. I'm going to take these 2 survivors, and I'm actually going to move them right over here to the corner of the rest phase to remind us that when we get around to the rest phase, we'll actually have the opportunity to recruit them. Okay, now that we're done with the first phase, we're going to move on to the second phase, the build phase. Any survivor tasked to build may construct any fortifications and/or base upgrades which they can afford to build. If multiple players have allocated survivors to the build phase, they may work together to complete larger constructions. If players do this, then the victory points earned are split by how many each player allocates to which build task. Sean, you've got 2 scrap, and I've got 2 wood or 2 scrap. So let's take a quick gander at what we can build. Alright, so during the build phase, there are several different things you can build. I'm going to quickly touch upon a couple of them here. You've got walls, which we show represented in the 3D form here, which you can get in one of the expansions. But the game will actually come with the little tokens that you see here. You also have sandbags, which will slow down zombies. You have gates, which the survivors can move in and out of. You've got lookout towers that you can actually put on your base. Now, mind you, one thing about the base is it is 2 different floors. You've got a first floor and you've got a second floor. During the combat, you can even jump out the window. You will take fall damage, of course, but you may want to build a lookout tower right outside the window, which would allow you to climb up and down very easily. Some of the base upgrades, you've got beds, which allow you to have more survivors sleep to regain health. You've got a campfire, so you can actually convert some of your food. Infirmary, a reload bench, a workbench, and even a box garden. Okay, so Sean and I have the option here to build a couple different things. We do have wooden scrap for both of us. Now, if we look over at the building fortifications first, you can see that there's a labor cost. We've assigned a survivor piece. That's represented by the purple icon. There's a material cost and then a victory point award. Sean, it might be a good idea for us to maybe build a junk gate. You can actually get some victory points that way. Or pool some of our we couldn't build a lookout tower. We're missing one survivor for that. There is a possibility of us building a campfire, though, which would allow us to change some of our rad food and our raw food into actually cooked food to actually feed our survivors, which would probably be a really good thing. You actually have a survivor who is a smoker. One of his special abilities is being a smoker is days-long fast. You're never without your trusty lighter. You're always equipped with a lighter necessary for the campfire and Molotov cocktails.
So I'm going to build a campfire, which only requires my one guy and resources that you traded me, and then you have the option to build something else.
Okay, so first of all, that's going to net you 4 victory points. So you're going to go ahead and move yourself up 4 points on the victory point track.
Alright.
So building fortification makes our base safer, but also attracts more zombies due to the noise of building. Each survivor who builds a fortification must pass a mechanics check. If failed, add the VP earned to the zombie tracker. So you just gained 4 victory points, Sean. I'm going to have you go ahead and roll a red die. Now, considering you do not have any mechanics checks, you always get the dumb Bonnie clause of rolling 1 die. And just go ahead and roll a 6 for me, okay? Please? That would be a success.
We'll see about that.
And no.
Opposite of a 6.
It'll go up 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll go ahead and create a discard pile. And I'm going to spend my 2 scrap on... What the heck will I spend on? Alright, I'm going to build a junk gate. That's going to net me 3 victory points. So move my red guy up to 3. I'm going to get rid of my scrap. And then I'm going to roll a die. My survivor is not very good at mechanics. So roll a die. And I happen to get a 1 as well. So it goes up 3. 1, 2, 3. So zombie is now on the 10 location. Campfire. Let's go over and focus on the board here. The campfire is actually a token. You can place it anywhere that you'd like to place it. I would recommend on the 2nd floor. If zombies do walk over the campfire for any reason, it will be destroyed. So let's put it someplace safe. Our objective in this particular scenario is to protect the helpless survivors who happen to be resting up in the 2nd floor here. It's noted by the little icon right here. I'm going to grab, I built a gate, right? So I'm going to grab a gate, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that on the 1st floor on one of our doors. Okay, so that wraps up the build phase. Now for the guard phase, guard food is broken into 2 possible actions, lookout or patrol. None of our survivors chose this option. If we had gone here, you can see the little -1s on the zombie, we would have been able to try to reduce the number of zombies. So now we're going to move right on to the last phase, which is the rest phase. None of our survivors went here, but it does have a mandatory part for the rest phase. All survivors who did not choose to allocate a survivor during the downtime phase will flip their task allocation wheels to their black and white fatigue side. Go ahead and zoom in and flip your 2 tokens. This is going to represent the fact that both of your survivors are fatigued. The next part of the rest phase is determining if anyone did bed rest, infirmary, or idle rest. And none of our survivors are there, so we're going to skip right over that. Last part of the rest phase is to recruit survivors. In order to recruit survivors, you have the option to sweet talk them or bribe them with food. Now, the one important thing about food to note is that each of your survivors needs to consume food to regain full strength. When you are fatigued, you only get to spend 1 action during combat, be that moving, attacking, searching the map, or trading weapons and armor, etc. with the other players around you. Now, Sean and I both only have 2 food. Sean, you do have 1 raw food, so you can, because we built the campfire, cook that raw food, turning it into good food, and actually gaining a victory point. Is that something you'd like to do?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to pretend this guy is a good food, and I assume you're probably going to consume it by one of your survivors.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and move your yellow token up to 5, which will gain you a skill card. We'll go into in just a second here. Would you like to use your rad food to feed one of the helpless survivors that are up here to convince them to join your squad, or roll a single red die to try to sweet talk them into joining your squad? A success would only be on a 6 because you have no one who has the talking skill.
I think I'll actually just use a food to take one of them.
And it's my turn. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass on all the survivors that are out there, and I'm just going to use a rad food and good food to feed my 2 survivors that are there. Flipping my tokens. Because I ate a rad food, I'm going to take a rad token, which is going to decrease my overall hit points by 1.
I'm going to need one of those as well.
And I'm going to put it on the girl who... Actually, I'm going to put it on the guy who's only got 6 hit points, and his overall hit points will be reduced to 5, because he is now irradiated. The rest of the survivors, they're just going to get stacked up, and they're going to go right next to a second story, because they're holding out up there. John, you just leveled up, so let's go into how leveling up works. In this quick play scenario, we're going to do it on just 5 victory points. There's an alleyway up here of 3 cards that is 1 more than the number of players. You get to choose any of the face-up cards to level up your survivors, or if you don't like anything that's out there, you can draw the top card of the skill deck, but you have to keep it.
I think I'll go with the talk just so I can recruit survivors next time.
Alright. So that's going to conclude the rest phase. The next thing that we would end up doing is moving on to drawing a Something's Happening card, which would happen before the next day we'll actually get to start. Okay? So Sean, you want to go ahead and pull down the card? What do we got? Bunch of zombies? That's just disgusting. He looks like he's about to explode. Special zombie. For every 10 zombies, add 1 fatty. So first of all, we're going to take the zombie-o-meter and adjustment and add +2 per player. So wherever the zombie number is at, which is at 10, we're going to move that up to 14. Oof, that's pretty brutal. Then we'll look down here to the number of players. This is where you can see how the game scales. And being in a 2-player game, combat would happen tonight if there were 7+ zombies. Now note, if we put a bunch of people in patrol and lookout tower, and we got that number below 7, we actually wouldn't have combat tonight. We could go right back to the beginning of the next day. We could go into some more scavenging, building, but unfortunately we do have combat, and our base is getting assaulted. 14 zombies. So we're going to take a bunch of the miniatures out there, and we're going to plop them down in the coordinal north, east, west, and south. And so the way this works is, at the first location in the north, we're going to roll a die and see how many zombies actually get spawned in the north. So I'm going to go ahead and roll some dice and throw them out there. 5, 3, it's about 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's all 14 zombies, right? In Zpocalypse, you're going to go up against waves upon waves of zombies. The green zombies are going to represent 2 zombies.
Don't forget about the one.
Yep, the big fatso. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to come out on the second one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. 14 zombies. Now, go ahead and grab our miniature and we'll put them on the second floor. We can put them anywhere on the second floor. In this case, I'm going to start right near the stairs. If we had chosen patrol, we would be able to actually start on the first floor. So now that we've set everything up for combat, combat will begin. Okay, so the way combat works here is the survivors are going to get a chance to take a turn, and the zombies are going to move. The zombies are always going to move toward the first floor entrance here, up to the second floor, and try to munch on the fresh brains, which happen to be our helpless survivors resting in the bed. That is their objective. Once they kill all the survivors, they'll come after us, and then once we're dead, well, you know how that goes. So, first up, Sean, you get to go first. You're over here on the second floor. Currently, neither of us have any firearms, otherwise we could try shooting out some of these windows at the zombies. And nor have we had the ability to make any Molotov cocktails, which probably would have come in handy right now. Sean, why don't you go ahead and move away?
I'm gonna zoom in on my board just to get the move.
Yeah, I have one survivor who's really slow. Unfortunately, she's only going to be moving 4 squares a turn, which means my squad is going to...
Mine's only 5.
Only fast as 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's...
Alright, does that, I'm assuming it goes 1, 2, like over here onto this?
Exactly. I'm essentially standing on top of the stairs.
Right.
Yeah. They're the exact same spot.
Alright, so it'll be 1, 2... Stay away from the Fatso guy. 3, 4, 5.
I can only move 4. So I'm going to stand right here on the other side of the window. Actually, I'm going to stand right there. So I've taken 1 action, you've taken 1 action. We could have taken 2 actions if we had chosen, but I think we're going to take it a little bit more defensively.
I can't take 2 because one of my survivors is fatigued.
Oh, that's right. Good call. In that case, I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go try to rush the guys in the back.
Before you do that.
Yep.
Couldn't you have gone 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes, I could have. Well, it would have been 1,
double moving, right?
2, 3, 4. Yeah. They can move 3 squares a turn, so I'm going to play defensively and stand here.
Okay.
Alright, so all the zombies have moved, and now it's back to our turns. Sean, take it away.
This is kind of crazy with all these guys, and we don't have any ranged weapons.
You're telling me. This is a lot of zombies. I mean, there's only 2 of us. At least you got 3 survivors.
Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to defend these guys.
Okay. You gonna try to take just 2 of them at a time right through the window?
Yeah.
Good call. So you've moved. You can only do 1 move action. So you can't do anything else. I could move out there and attack them and not take a... You know what? I'm gonna go for broke. I'm gonna be stupid and I'm gonna move out here. And then I'm gonna attack him so I can show how combat works. So if you look over at my cards, you can see I have 1 survivor who is actually has a level 2 in melee. Now that means that she's going to get to roll a single die and kill any zombies on a 4, 5, or Z. I also have another guy who's completely untrained in melee. So that means he's going to roll a single die and kill only on a 5 or a Z. In Zpocalypse, you assign the dice. So I've got 2 dice to each other, and you actually get to pick them up at the exact same time, and you roll them both at the exact same time, because your whole entire squad is rolling. And then you can assign dice to each weapon based on their success rate. So, I'm gonna roll my 2 dice. Double 6s!
Nice.
All the way! That is fantastic! So, 2 zombies get pulled right off the board. Yes! I get to level up. Oh, yeah! I'm gonna go gutsy, and I'm gonna take the top card off the deck. Sure enough, it was medic. Okay, so that was my turn. So that means now it's time for the zombies to move. Yep, just put them right there. So you're actually going to get attacked from that zombie through the window.
You're going to get attacked from that.
I'm going to get attacked. So let's go into how your defensive holdback works here. So for each survivor that you have, you're going to get to roll a single die. For any 5 or 6 that you roll, you'll prevent that zombie from attacking you. Okay, so I'm going to get to roll 2 dice. That's horrible. So that means 2 zombies are attacking me. So I'm gonna roll 2 dice for damage.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really bad. Okay, so that's 9 Now my armor is at 4, so that completely negates this, so I take 5 points of damage. I'm going to take my wheel, and I've got a guy who's at 5 and a guy who's at 8. Now, this is where you can get a little bit creative and go, you know what? He's going to step in front and take the brunt of the damage and go all the ways down to 1. And she's going to get just a scratch from it. Because next time, on the next day, probably a really good idea if I send him to the infirmary. By the way, we don't have any first aid on us. And I'm already bleeding out.
You just got first aid skill.
I got first aid skill, but I still need a first aid card.
Oh, an equipment card.
That's right.
Yeah,
So that was my attack. Go ahead and roll your 3 dice. See if you can get anything better. Alright, you hold back 1 out of 2, so I'm going to take a blue die and roll damage for you. Oh, dude, it's a 2? What is your armor?
3.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, so this is a great taste of combat. You can see how it can get pretty intense pretty quick, and you can see how your base fortifications will really make a difference, and also how teamwork really plays into the Zpocalypse here. And so that's pretty much all. We thank you for tuning in for a quick overview here of the game, walking you through all the different phases. You can see there's a lot going on in the game. There's a lot of new exciting stuff, a lot of story-driven scavenging things. We're really excited about the game. We hope you guys think so too.